Somewhere in a cardboard box in a mother's attic, folded into quarters and gone soft at the creases, there is still a poster of a teen idol from 1985. The paper has yellowed. The staple holes from the magazine's spine are still visible in the corner. And if you unfold it, just for a second, you can practically smell the room it used to hang in, a mix of hairspray, Bon Bell lip smacker, and the particular static hum of a box fan running all summer long. Because before phones, before screens, before anyone could carry their favorite face around in their pocket, American teenagers built their identities one thumbtack at a time, on four walls that belonged only to them. The 1980s bedroom wall was not decoration. It was a declaration. Walk into almost any teenager's room during that decade and you could read a person before they said a single word. The wall told you who they loved, who they wanted to be, and who they desperately hoped would notice them back. It was a mosaic assembled over years, layer over layer, poster tape and pushpins holding up a shrine that shifted every few months as tastes changed and childhood slowly gave way to something else. It started, for most kids, with a magazine. Tiger Beat and Bop and Teen Beat were not just publications, they were poster factories disguised as reading material. Kids would tear through the pages searching for the centerfold, that glossy double-page spread of a heartthrob staring soulfully into the middle distance, and within minutes that fragile, staple-creased page would be carefully peeled free and mounted on the wall with all the reverence of hanging a painting in a museum. The paper was thin, prone to tearing, and never quite lay flat, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that now, when you woke up in the morning, that face was the first thing you saw. For a lot of teenage girls, the wall became a shrine to the biggest teen idols of the moment. Smooth-faced pop stars and actors from primetime television, their eyes soft-focused and dreamy, papered across the wall in overlapping rows until barely a scrap of wallpaper showed through underneath. Friends would compare collections like currency. Whose poster was bigger? Whose was rarer? Who had gotten the exclusive fold-out that only came with the summer double issue? There was a status to it, a social order built entirely out of who loved which celebrity the hardest and had the paper trail to prove it. But right alongside the soft focus idols was something rougher, louder, and a lot more rebellious. Rock band posters ruled the walls of a different kind of teenager, often bought not from a magazine but from a real record store, peeled off a promotional display, or ordered through the back pages of a music magazine for a few crumpled dollar bills. These posters were bigger, moodier, shot in dramatic lighting with band members glaring into the camera in leather and denim. Hanging a rock poster wasn't about admiration so much as alignment. It told your parents, your teachers, and every kid who walked into your room exactly which tribe you belonged to. Metal kids had their gods. New wave kids had theirs. And there was very little overlap between the two camps. The record store itself deserves a moment of its own in this story, because for a lot of teens, that was ground zero. Sticky carpet, the smell of incense and cardboard, bins of vinyl you could flip through for an hour without anyone rushing you out. Posters were often given away free with an album purchase, or sold outright rolled up in a cardboard tube for a few dollars at the checkout counter. Bringing one home felt like smuggling in a piece of a world that existed somewhere far away from your actual bedroom, your actual town, your actual life. Putting the poster up was its own ritual. Scotch tape peeled and rolled into little loops, stuck to all four corners. Or thumbtacks, if your parents allowed holes in the wall, which not every parent did. Some kids used sticky poster putty, that blue-gray substance that always left a faint stain no matter how carefully you pressed it into place. And there was an art to arrangement too. Some walls were curated with real intention, symmetrical rows, matching color schemes, a kind of teenage feng shui. Other walls were chaos, posters overlapping ticket stubs and photographs and pages torn from magazines, an ever-growing collage that told the story of an entire adolescence without a single word of explanation. And the wall changed. That's the part people forget when they look back now with rose-colored nostalgia. A poster that felt like true love in February might get quietly taken down by June, replaced by someone new, someone better, someone whose song was currently stuck in your head on constant repeat. Old favorites got shoved into desk drawers, or folded up and tucked inside a yearbook for safekeeping, half embarrassing and half sacred, evidence of a crush you weren't sure you wanted anyone to remember. The wall was never finished. It grew and shed and rebuilt itself in step with whoever you were becoming that particular year. For siblings sharing a room, the wall could become a literal dividing line, an invisible border drawn straight down the middle of the ceiling where one poster collection ended and another began. Fights over whose face got the better spot, over the window, over the door, were as common as any argument about curfew or chores. And for only children, the wall was something else entirely, a kind of company. A room full of familiar, unmoving faces that were there every single night when the lights went out, a comfort that asked nothing in return. Parents, of course, had their own complicated relationship with all of this. Some embraced it, even helping their kids track down a hard-to-find poster as a birthday gift. Others tolerated it with a raised eyebrow, occasionally threatening to make their teenager take down a poster they found a little too suggestive or a little too loud. And more than a few parents quietly dreaded the day their kid would move out, only to discover behind every single poster a matching patch of sun-faded wallpaper, a ghostly outline burned into the wall by years of sunlight hitting everywhere except the spot the poster had covered. Take the posters down, and the room looked like a photograph left out in the rain, patches of vivid color surrounded by years of quiet fading. By the time the decade closed out, plenty of those posters came down for good, packed away in boxes destined for basements and attics, replaced eventually by CD shelves and corkboards and, before too long, screens that made the whole ritual feel almost impossibly quaint. But for the kids who lived it, that wall was never just paper and tape. It was the first place they ever got to choose, entirely for themselves, exactly who they wanted to love, who they wanted to be, and what kind of world they were dreaming their way into one thumbtack at a time. And somewhere, in an attic or a garage or the bottom of an old moving box, a piece of that wall is probably still folded up and waiting, a little more faded now, but still holding on to every bit of the feeling it once gave a kid staring up at it in the dark.